how did you had this beautiful transition from a player to a coach? You had to mortgage your house before you thought of having in the year 2008 you decided for a Gopi Chand Academy.
All our lives,
Yeah.
consciously or unconsciously, we were getting up very early to play badminton. 4:35 we would get up and go to the stadium, and all the time it was the same.
Yeah.
And at some point we all dreamed as a young kid that if we made it big in life, if we won something big, then we would relax and get up very late and we would relax in life. So that the idea was never to get into coaching in some sense.
Okay.
The idea was, if you're making it big as a player, then you enjoy the rest of your life because you've really slogged to get where you are. But then the last years of my playing badminton, I somehow felt that I learnt a lot of things. It was from many coaches whom I worked with. It was from the travel which I did, various places where I went to, and a lot of trial and error which I did on myself. I realized that I had a great formula which would be useful for me to win. But unfortunately at that time, I didn't have the body to support me. I had 3 knee surgeries back to back between 94, 96 and 98. And in 2002, I had another knee surgery on the other leg or the right leg, where right knee, which actually was a wear and tear injury. So my body has actually used up, in a sense, its mileage, getting to the point where it was breaking down too often. So the great formula which I realized I had wasn't useful for me anymore.
Okay.
But I was desperate. I knew this formula. I had to find people. So I found some young bodies, so to say, and used it on them. And that's how my journey of coach started. It was not really about, I just had this thing. I said, boss, I know this. This is how it's supposed to be done. And I figured it out. But I can't use it. So what's the best? So I found kids and started coaching. And initially it was not so intense, but as in when the kids started playing better, my responsibility towards them seemed to get better and then bigger, and then I started to push more, spend more hours. And also while growing up, I had a lot of very fundamental challenges. I would have no courts, we would have no gym, no running track, no the place where we stay and the place to play was far. The distances were. So I just thought that if all of these things were available to me in one place, just the physical effort to get from home to practice, to back, to home to lunch, to back home to gym, to back home to training, to back home to a pool, to back home to recovery, home to physiotherapy, home to psycho. It's like there were 10 things, and just like on the road, if you go, there's smoke, there is traffic, there could be a small injury because of an accident. There's so many things, and there's just wasting so much of time in a day doing this. So I thought if all of these places are available in one place, yes, I think it just saves so much of pain, and we could just make the journey so much easier. And that's when this Gopi Chand Academy idea came up. And yes, raising funds is not easy. As a startup, as somebody who's not really proved anything on the producing champions, and with an idea that you want to, and sport is not the same. 20 years ago or 15 years ago, it was a different ball game. To raise funds was challenging. I had a certain person called N. Prasad give me the initial funds, so it was great. I had a few other people who gave me funds, but not enough to complete the project. And I was desperate to get it done. And I eventually had to take some risky decisions, but I'm happy I took those things. And today, I'm happy that a lot more people have come forward to support me, and the government has been very supportive to sport in general. And the whole ecosystem for sport has had a sea change from what we had back then to what we have today.
Great. So I want to know little more about the Gopi Chand Academy in terms of, PV Sindhu, the players. You could really transform them into a very winning international players like Saina Nehwal, few more players, Srikanth is there. So I mean, how was
I think to have an ecosystem which was really helping kids to believe that they can do it in the mind, and also have the physical facility to actually make it happen. I think these were two things which were important, and with that, both of them, the idea or the formula which I thought would be useful, I think all three of them worked very well together. For me, the initial years were tough because we had all young kids. When I started coaching, the oldest of the group was Parupalli Kashyap, who was about 16. And then we had various players in that group, whether it was Sai Praneeth or Guru Sai Dutt or Saina or Sindhu, or all of them were from that initial years of 2004 and 5. And they, as an All England champion, when I said something, they believed it totally. That was a good beginning to have, because it would have been so difficult to just get their faith in your methodology. I think just to be an All England champion and you say something, they were like, yes, Bhaiya has said something, we'll listen to it, period. Yeah. So that was great. And then Saina started winning, then Kashyap started, and the others. So each one of them started feeling confident. And the next generation also started to feel that it's possible that we can also follow in their footsteps. And the ecosystem gradually started becoming stronger and stronger. And each result strengthened the fact that the rest of them felt that they could also do what their seniors have done. And that eventually made good progress in the psyche of the players, where on one side, before they would think that it's not possible to win, and now they were actually thinking that we can make it at the highest level.
Was the journey of being a very successful coach also very easy for you?
No. No, it's
nothing comes easy. It comes with its own set of challenges.
No, I think the word easy was in a sense. There were challenges. Daily there were challenges. It's not that I don't think there were many days which would pass by which didn't have a challenge. Because as a player, you're dealing with one-dimensional things, like your practice, your food, your training. Like you sort out these three things, you win a match, your day is perfect. There's nothing which actually goes wrong.
Correct.
Here you're dealing with multiple players. You've got one player winning, you've got 10 others losing. You've got 10 other coaches whom you need to handle. The stadium administrators you need to handle. The equipment, the association, the bureaucracy, the government, the funding. You're dealing with multiple things. So it's almost like a startup which you're putting up. And it's also like a college where the alumni doesn't pass out. They just stay with you. And then they only have to go out when they fail. So it's not a happy parting as well. So I think mentally it's a very stressful kind of a journey, because in a college you pass out, you say thank you very much teacher, and they come once in a year, and that's fine. They have very positive alumni. And here you have people who pass and stay, and the only way they go out is when they fail. And the same good positive alumni doesn't stay positive anymore. So I think you are in a space which is not an ideal scenario. The only thing which you can do is set your mindset to that frequency, that this is the way it is going to be. So I think that becomes the biggest challenge, and that is something which ensures that on a constant basis there is struggle after struggle in your mind, if not anything. And you just need to pick the positives and move on. And if you were to stop and look at the negatives, then you would always be stuck.
So how would Gopi Chand coach would handle this stress? I mean, what tools did you employ? What practices you inculcated, which made you handle it in a...
I meditate. I
wonderful.
Listen to knowledge. I play, and I just wait. you're just patient about some of the things, because some of the things just, time is a great healer. You just have to bear the uncomfortable positions. You have to stay in those situations which are not comfortable. The longer you're able to stay in those positions, the more successful you are. I think sometimes not reacting, some things letting go will solve those things. Now that's easier said than done, especially when you have an ecosystem of people around who get fidgety, who want to act, and you have social media and you have a lot of inputs coming, and you say, I'll go out there and fight it out and I'm right and stuff. But then you say, it's okay, just pass. So those are things which happen. I meditate. I've always loved to meditate, not because of whatever benefit it does, but I just love to meditate for the sake of meditating itself. And given to myself, the last 2 years have been the best years of my life. There was nobody to disturb me, and no travel. So I've loved the last 2 years of the inward journey, which is something which I longed for a long time. I've also met some great masters in the past. I've been very, very fortunate. All along, I've had the great blessings of masters and gurus, and I think it's been a great life of blessing.
When did meditation happen to you? When did you start meditating? As a player, you started practicing it, or more as a coach?
In 1994, when I got injured, I had time. And one of my dear friends, Ravi Kumar, he made me join this Art of Living class. And then I was in Bangalore, and Sri Guruji. I've been there at the ashram and I was fortunate to spend time around him in the beginning years when the ashram was not as big as it is today. Wow. And been very, very fortunate to spend time at the ashram and meet him and meet people. And over time, it just grew on me. I spend a lot of time doing that and various other forms of meditation. Just that I've also been very lucky over time that I've found different ways of relaxing myself, and that's been a clear blessing for me, and it's always been there. It might be a little less at times, but time is the only constraint. Otherwise, I would just close my eyes and sit down for hours together.
Oh. Does it come easily to you, or you practiced it?
I don't know. I've practiced it. The initial years, but I was very religious. I did without missing a session when I was about 25, 26. For 365 days in a year, I meditated every day, because I just made it a point that I will meditate for 1 full year and then see whether it works or not. So that's the kind of initial grit I had. Then I realized it's not really so important to be that, but it's I think to let go, to relax, and to just things naturally take their own course is also important. So I'm a lot more relaxed in all those matters now, but it's been a great journey, no denying.
And just for our viewers, how would meditation benefit an individual?
I think mental clarity, I would guess.
Okay.
Relaxation, I would guess. To actually, you're sitting in a match, you're going through the match, and you said 1.3 billion people thinking. It's like the 1,000 thoughts coming. And you have to focus on one thing.
Yeah.
I think that has to happen. You have to shut out things. And that happens through meditation.
Yeah.
So I think the ability to relax, the ability to let go, the ability to think, and I'm not talking about the higher things of karma and stuff. I'm just talking about basic physiological things, the heartbeat, the breathing, and the relaxation. I think the clarity of thought, all of these things are definitely very, very refined when you meditate.
Yeah. viewers, you should know this information that Gopi Chand was instrumental in creating an app called as Dhyana, and it had guided meditation commentaries for the players. I want to know something more about that particular app.
So Dhyana is a ring which measures your heart rate variability,
Okay.
and it has in the app guided meditations and also pranayama. So you can actually say, if you breathe 4 times for a breath of 4 seconds in, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, you can actually
Control your
feed it
Okay.
into the app, and then the app gives you, or the ring gives you, an indication whether you're doing it correctly or you're dozing off in between.
Okay.
So many of the times we all feel that when we meditate, are we meditating or are we just going off?
Yeah.
And that actually tells you whether you're actually doing it or not. So when you breathe in a certain pattern, it records the pattern and tells you whether it's as per the algorithm or not. And the algorithm gives you a score, and it also tells you at which points you've not done it.
Okay.
So it's a measurable device for meditation.
You can quantify your meditation
Correct.
duration. Wonderful. I mean, how much percentage of meditation, these kind of techniques you use in your coaching style, as far as your
I think whatever I do is 100% of it.
Okay.
I trust it totally, in the sense, for me, whatever I am, I would say not a large percent, is 100% that.
So you'll attribute your success and everything to
I would say that, because I've
Okay.
done it always. I've always been that way. I don't know any other way, because my decisions are more impulsive than anything. They come from meditation in a lot of ways. So that's what I would want to. So I trust them when I give those decisions, because sitting in a match, you can analyze 100 things, but I think you have to look at that speck of intuition, which is very, very important. And I think that comes only when you're calmer and relaxed and you're
Yeah.
not really flowing with what's happening, but you just have to take 2 steps back, and then the real knowledge strikes you, and you have to be smart enough to pick that up and tell it. So much of the intelligence is there inside. You need to be calm to make it surface out. So that's what I do believe in. Having said that, I think for players, each one has their own journey, and each one has their own mechanism to work. So I don't think that what works for me necessarily is the only way, or is the way for everybody to work. So I think we can introduce people, and we need to let them go and find their own path. So there are many things which we can introduce them and push them a little bit, guide them or show them the direction. But eventually they will have to walk that path,
Finally, it's
because
their choice.
unless they strongly believe in it, they're not going to be doing it 100%. And that's what for me is the biggest challenge.
I mean, you cannot enforce certain things onto them. It has to come from within, and they should like it, and they should take the benefit out of it. Friends, when I look at Gopi Chand, few things I can pick up from your, your facial expression, your body language. You're very calm, serene, composed. You were like this as a player also?
No, I was.
You were aggressive?
When I was young, I was very aggressive.
Okay.
When you lose many times, when you've broken many times, I think life sets you right. So it's the same case with me. So I've had my share of tantrums early.
Okay.
But I think when you fall down a few times and you get up, then you realize that you have to respect life a lot more.
And that's what maturity is all about.
Yeah.
You are immature,
very
in
good,
the
yeah.
initial.
So I've been aggressive. The aggressive trait in me is there. It's a strong current which is there, and it surfaces a few times, but very, very few times.
Oh, wonderful. And is your personality, being very calm, serene, has really contributed towards you being a very successful coach and you producing beautiful, wonderful Olympians like Sindhu, Nehwal winning those medals?
I definitely do think that it helps to have a calmer demeanor.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's at least in my mind, and I'm sitting behind an athlete for a match, then I always feel that whatever emotion you have adds on to the emotion of the player.
Correct.
So if you are calmer, it actually helps the player become calmer.
Yeah.
And if you are agitated, it just adds to the player getting more agitated. So from my perspective, I always make it a point that the heart is pumping normally. It's not just going boom, 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 and you're breathing normally, and you just focus on these two things when you're sitting there, and the right advice will come at the right time. And that's what I do believe in. And I always am conscious of the fact that as a coach, sitting behind the athlete, you should be a lot more calmer, because you're just adding to the already burdened or the pressured mind of the athlete.
So your vibes will actually affect them
100%.
Positively or negatively. Wonderful. One more question I need to, how did you get associated with the Brahma Kumaris? What was your, how did it happen?
I think I'm surrounded by the Brahma Kumaris on either sides. I have my compound wall touching them on two sides, and the two other sides are the road.
Okay.
So my only neighbors are the Brahma Kumaris. So I'm very fortunate that I'm in the middle.
Okay.
Because everybody comes and says this place is lucky. I said I have to be, because I'm surrounded by positivity.
Yeah.
So I think to be in a place where people are meditating, I think just helps the ecosystem. I think the vibe definitely helps, and I'm a strong believer that is. So this place is divine, and we are benefiting from the divinity on either sides.
Yeah. So what's your understanding about the Brahma Kumaris? How do you look at them? And
I think for me, I think there are various paths of spirituality.
Yeah.
And I think many people connect to them in different ways.
Right.
And the Brahma Kumaris as an organization, I think the spiritual stalwarts, the sisters who've really done great work, or the Grand Master himself, I think they've reached the highest pinnacles of spirituality. For many of us, their blessings are enough.
Okay.
I think to be in their vision, to be in their thoughts, or to be blessed by them is a lot of good fortune, because there's a lot of karma which they take away, and I think that's huge. But also I feel amazed by the amount of physical work which the Brahma Kumaris do in terms of reaching out to people and spreading the spiritual gyan across different segments of society. I think there's a great work which they do for sports persons.
Yeah.
Mount Abu hosts some sports events, and there are always people trying to reach out to sports persons to help. There's people working out in the army and the police and the BSF, and you go to the secretariat and they're working with the people there, they're working in social causes, they're working in areas which have disturbances. So all over, I see a lot of work which is being done. I think there's a lot of things which are going bad in this world, but it's only balanced by the fact that there's so many good organizations and people who are doing some good work. And I do believe that this is one such organization.
Wonderful. So you frequently visit the campus of Shanti Sarovar. How do you feel the vibes,
I think I'm, as I've said, we are so closely interlinked. I think the whole atmosphere within us, and I think I have athletes, players come here, take part in the sessions.
Wonderful.
And it's always been very beneficial. And for me, I think to have them around is something which I always really do cherish. And this place, Shanti Sarovar, for somebody who hasn't visited it, I think is a place which they should visit.
Wonderful. Gopi Chand, I want to ask that last question. what's your message for the sports people, the young budding sports stars? What could be, one positive message you want to convey through this particular channel?
I think whatever you do, give it your 100%. It's not about winning or losing, but it's about ensuring that you do the right things. And sport is pretty simple, and that's what makes the life of a sports person brilliant. It's the fact that it's very, very clean. It's like you eat well, you train hard, and you rest well, and you think properly, done. There's nothing else which you need to do. And I don't think many professions allow this kind of self-indulgence other than sport. So I think you can do all this and be successful. It's great. But even if you're not, I think the very fact that sport teaches you such a lot of things in life, you're always a winner playing sport. You don't necessarily have to win medals always to call yourself a winner. I think that is very, very important. So give it all you have. If you've lost, no problem. Learn from your mistakes. Go back again and give it all you have. And at the end of it, also remember that this is only a part of life. And it's not the whole of life. And success or defeat in sport should not be a benchmark for whether you are successful in life or not. I think whether you're successful in sport, in winning medals or not, ensure that you take the lessons and go ahead and start your journey back in life.
Wonderful. Thank you, brother. It was a very insightful, conversation we had, and you really digged few right aspects of knowledge, and viewers, I think you would have really benefited out of this particular beautiful talk, because sports is just not about sports. It reflects a part of our life, so it is very closely related to life. And I think it is said that life is also a game, and we are playing every day. So it's not about things happen your way in terms of the events or results. It's not about winning or losing. It's about the entire process, how you take it, the right thinking, the right behavior. And I think that was the message, that if I'm more calmer, more peaceful, I learn from my mistakes and I improvise and improve my own quality of life and people around me. That's the best way to lead life. I hope you really enjoyed this interaction. Once again, brother, thank you for coming here, sparing your valuable time. I know you're so busy, your schedules are so tight, but still you took time to come here and interact with us. Thank you so much. Om Shanti.
Thank you.